Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos. So today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more latest news and that. So today big news has come out with regards to Matteo Darmain. It has been made official that Matteo Darmain has left Manchester United. He has currently joined Parma, so he has made a return back to Italy. I do believe Parma have paid around £3.6 million for him, and I think he has signed a 4-year deal with Parma. So I think in this aspect it's good business for Manchester United, getting rid of Matteo Darmain. And obviously, it's no surprise, of course, that Matteo Darmain has left the football club, because obviously, Darmain was surplus to requirements anywhere and that. But I'm just basically surprised, the amount we've let him go for, basically. So obviously, we paid just over £12 million for Darmain back in 2015 from Torino and that. So I think, we've lost out on around £9.1 million pounds and that. But I'm still very, very glad anyway that Matteo Darmain has left the football club and that. But reports reflected out about this over the course of the weekend, saying that, he was close to leaving Manchester United. There were some reports actually, suggesting out saying that he could have gone for over £1 million and that, but I think it's around £3.6 million, we have sold Matteo Darmian for. But, we're well known for doing that. We've got a history of doing it, overpaying for players, spending big on players, and of course, giving players substantial wages and that, and then, we'll let them go for next to nothing. So in that aspect, it's a bad business from the football club and that. But I did say anyway, Darmian, would have been open to making a return back to Italy, because obviously he spent the majority of his career in Italy, of course, when he was younger and all that, did Darmian. But obviously we do know that Darmian, wasn't part of the pre-season squad. Obviously didn't play in any of the games so far this season. And Darmian, in his 4 years with Manchester United, only managed one goal, and I think that goal came against Crystal Palace back in 2016. And I do believe it actually was a sublime volley. In his 4 years with Manchester United, Darmian made 92 appearances in all competitions. I think 60 of those appearances had come in the Premier League, and obviously, he won the FA Cup with us, the League Cup with us, and of course the Europa League with us and that. But he is now 29 years of age anyway, so Darmian, is aging up. But he endured a difficult 4 years or so with Manchester United. But the last game actually, Darmian played for Manchester United was actually, in our derby 2-0 defeat to Manchester City back in April. But it actually confirmed that Darmian had only played 13 times since December 2017, and I think Darmian's contract was due to expire anywhere next year with Manchester United. So it has confirmed today that Darmian, of course, has left the football club and that. But no, I think now Darmian is the fourth player to leave Manchester United, to go to the Serie A and that. Obviously, we saw Sanchez obviously go to the Serie A. He's gone on loan with Inter Milan. Obviously, Lukaku, of course, has gone to Inter Milan. Obviously, we know it confirmed last week, was it, that Chris Smalling had joined Rome on loan and that. But, quite a few players have now left the club, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, we saw Antonio Valencia leave at the end of last season after he served 10 years at Manchester United. Obviously, we saw Ander Herrera, of course, leave the football club, and it was a shame that we didn't recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera. Obviously, like I said, Marian Fellaini left the football club and that. Like I said, Lukaku left. So quite a few players have now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, Joe Pereira, of course, went out on a loan, I think, with Hearts and that. But yeah, and I did say, players needed to leave Manchester United. As you all know, Marcus Rojo's definitely staying at the football club, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, confirmed prior to the Southampton game. Obviously, it is deadline day today, by the way, and obviously, the European transfer window does shut today anywhere. But it has been confirmed today that Darmian, of course, has left Manchester United and that. But I said anyway, he enjoyed a very, very difficult time with the club and that. He enjoyed a very, very difficult time with the club. But yeah, I think it's either shut now is the window, or it does, the European transfer window either shuts now or it shuts sometime today. But like I did say, we've enjoyed a difficult start to the season so far. Obviously, we've only won one game out of our first 4 games and that, only managed 7 goals. And I think, we have conceded 4 goals so far this season. So it's just basically replicating last season, because last season, wasn't scoring enough goals. We only managed 53 goals in the Premier League last season. We conceded 54 goals in the Premier League last season. That was our highest total, of course, in 40 years and that. So analysing it so far this season, there isn't much improvement from what I saw there last season, because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. Obviously, we didn't win any silverware, and of course, we failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I did say in that aspect, that went against us in the summer transfer window and that. Obviously, I praise Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because he recommended 3 good players into the squad and that. we spent £148 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire in that. And we have seen glimpses of what good signings, they've proven to be so far. Daniel James had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. He's scored 3 goals so far this season. And my overarching view on Daniel James is, he's still a prospect and needs time to develop. And I think he's doing really, really well. I think he's become a fruition, as Daniel James. My thoughts on Wan-Bissaka, he's obviously our first choice right back. I think he's had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. His defensive abilities are good. His distribution's good. He's intercepting the ball and that really, really well. And I think with Harry Maguire, he's not really settled in yet, but I think, he's going to succeed at Manchester United and that. And you can quite say that he has addressed our defensive deficiencies, but not fully, because, we're still seeing that, we are still conceding goals and all that. But, the 3 players we bought in, I was very, very delighted. So I'm glad we got the experienced centre half in. I'm glad we got the right back in that. But, we just didn't, get any. We didn't address that midfield, because that's one of the problematic areas. Is that midfield, and it was one of the priority areas, of course, where Manchester United needed to strengthen up. Throughout the course of the summer. Don't forget, throughout the course of the summer as well, was in search for a right winner. But like I was saying, I did say in the summer, certain players, would have had reservations about joining the football club. Obviously, with our failure, to qualify for the Champions League and that. But like I said, if this bad run of form continues, I think the pressure will mount up more and more on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think already the pressure is intensifying on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, based on the poor results and that. Obviously, we had a great pre-season, won 6 games out of 6, 12 goals scored and only 3 goals conceded. And I did say at that present time, I said I think Man United are going to have a better season. Then we got off to a remarkable start against Chelsea, winning comfortably by 4-0 in that game. And then after the Chelsea game, it seemed to have all gone wrong, because we've been dropping points. We dropped 2 points away at Wolves. We played well in the first half, but wasn't so good in the second half. Obviously, Paul Pogba missed a penalty in that game as well. Obviously, in the Crystal Palace game, Rashford missed a penalty in that game. And, in that Crystal Palace game, we should have won that game, to be quite honest. We obviously, we had a lot of chances. Obviously, we had the majority of the possession in that game as well. But it's just basically, replicating last season, that we're not being clinical enough in front of goal. And that was clinical against Chelsea, but weren't clinical against Wolves, weren't clinical against Palace. And obviously, at the weekend, we dropped 2 points against Southampton and that. So we've obviously, so far, we've seen 1 win, 2 draws and 1 loss and that. So obviously, the dimension, this history, and the dimension and the history of this club, we should be up there competing and, of course, winning silverware and that. And we're not exceeding expectation levels at all. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, isn't exceeding expectation levels and that. And I did say, I said at the start of the season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's expectations, will be to, finish in the top 4 and maybe perhaps win some silverware and that. And Solskjaer's obviously, got to exceed these expectations. I did initially say in the next couple of seasons, our aspirations anyway, will be that top 4, because I do believe it's going to take at least a couple of years, to mount any kind of title challenge up, or of course win the league and that. But I did say we have got big expectations, we have got big ambitions for the future, and that obviously want to get back to being a competitive elite level football club, want to get back to winning silverware and that. And this is something Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to bring back to the football club. He wants to bring that winning mentality back to the club. He wants to bring that fear factor back to the club. But there's there's the vast majority of people out there that follow football and that, and they are sceptical about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They've got doubts that he will bring that fear factor back to the football club and that. There's a lot of Man United fans as well. Question his tactics and that. I thought he tactically got it right against Southampton. But like I said, for me, we just didn't do enough investment, throughout the course of the summer and that, and I think, in the January transfer window and perhaps next summer, we've got to do further more investment in that. But actually, the board are assured at the start of the season that they come to terms and that they realise that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, throughout the course of the summer. They realised this, so it did say they assured that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, will be back to him in the next couple of windows and all that. This is what, they basically said. So it did say, regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safe, as long as we're not in mid-table, or as long as, we're not fighting relegation, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, of course, should be safe in that. But I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot, and it's good to see that he's trying all sorts of different things and that, but it just doesn't seem to be working out. But we love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and all that. And I think he did say at the start of the summer, he's following Alex Ferguson's philosophy and that. But like I said, anyway, we're not really known for a sacking club, and we haven't got the structure to keep sacking managers. Obviously, 3 managers have already been sacked, since Alex Ferguson's retirement. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's our 4th manager, since Alex Ferguson's retirement and that. But I did say, regardless of our managers, no one's going to ever replicate, well, we're never going to replicate what we did under Ferguson and that. No one's going to ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy, and that's something, of course, we have got to accept in that aspect. But, we have been inconsistent anyway in the last 6 years or so, and I don't like the way the football club anywhere has been run in the last 6 or 7 years and that. But I'm glad we've got rid of the players that we needed to get rid of. I said, Darmain's gone now, which is good. He was one of the problematic players at the football club. I'm disappointed that we haven't got rid of Marcus Rojo. Obviously, Solskjaer, like I said, confirmed he's definitely staying. Obviously, quite a few teams have inquired about getting Marcus Rojo and that, and I did say we need to offload at least one central defender. Well, we have offloaded one central defender. Chris Smalling, of course, has gone. He's gone out on loan and that, but there's no obligation to buy, so possibly could return to Manchester United after his loan. But I think I did say maybe we need to get rid of at least a couple of central defenders, because obviously we've got, even with Smalling going, we've still got 6 centre-backs in the team. I think the likes of Marcelo, Monaco and AC Milan inquired about getting Rojo. Don't forget, reflecting back on transfer deadline day, Everton had inquired about getting Rojo and that. We'd put around the £25 million valuation on him. Rojo, obviously, he's got under 2 years left on his contract with Manchester United. Now, he did well throughout pre-season. Obviously, Rojo hasn't played so far this season. I'm surprised he didn't participate against Southampton and that. He could have done, to be quite honest with you, because Rojo can play centrally. He can also play him on the left. But it's confirmed now that Rojo is staying at the football club. I'm glad we got rid of Sanchez as well. Nemanja Matic, I think, he's one of the problematic players at the football club as well. He makes that midfield look totally imbalanced, and he's too slow, and that is Nemanja Matic. And of course, he's aging up, and he isn't getting many younger and that, but I think he's no longer, good enough to represent Manchester United. I don't think he's no longer first choice anywhere. Obviously, we know Matic was first choice last season and that. Was first choice last season, that, but we have got a lot of centre-backs still in the squad. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice is Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire, and I did say, they're complementing each other, fantastically well, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. Obviously, Harry Maguire is the best option than what we've got in our backline at this present time and that. Obviously there's question marks around Victor Lindelof, can he keep the consistency up and that, and with Victor Lindelof, I think he's been poor in his last couple of games and that, but I think prior to that, I think he's done well with Manchester United. He didn't do so well in his first season, didn't settle in. I thought in his second season, Victor Lindelof, there was vast improvements in his game, and I think mainly so far this season he's replicated that form. So I'd say Lindelof, still flourishing at Manchester United. You've got Phil Jones, of course, that's still at the football club, don't forget. Obviously he's been a long-serving player at Manchester United. I think this is now his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Is Phil Jones. Obviously, I said he's no longer good enough to represent Manchester United in that, and he's going to find game time very, very difficult this season. We've still got Alex Tuanzebe. I think we are orchestrating on keeping Alex Tuanzebe and that. We're going to keep Alex Tuanzebe, I think. Obviously, he gained experience, from last season, because obviously he was on loan with Aston Villa last season, and I think he will be a big part of the squad this season, Alex Tuanzebe. So I think we're orchestrating on keeping him. So we have got a lot of centre-backs and that. But, don't forget, we have got quite a few injuries, at the moment and that. Obviously, Diego Dalot is out through injury. I think he should be, fit enough, to, return for the Leicester game after the international break and that. Obviously, Diego Dalot, I think we'll get given his chances this season. We know he's not one of our first choice fullbacks. He's obviously one of the backup, just like Ash Young's one of the backups and that. Diego Dalot's versatility is very, very good, because he can play right back, left back and a right winger, but Diego Dalot is predominantly a right back and that. So obviously we know he's been out with injury and that. Obviously we know that there's quite a few imperative players that are out with injury at the moment. Obviously Luke Shaw is obviously not out with a hamstring injury. I think it did say he's out until October. Is Luke Shaw. Obviously he's our first choice left back. He hasn't had a great start to this season, prior to his injury and that. I thought, reflecting on his impressive performances last season, obviously he won the double player this season, that did Luke Shaw. But I think mainly his career with Manchester United, he's had a good career with the club. But he is a very, very imperative player. Indeed, he's very, very reliable at that left-back position, but he's out for a month or so. Obviously, Anthony Martial is another one of our imperative players, of course. Obviously, he's been out with a thigh injury. This is why, obviously, he didn't play against Southampton. Obviously, Rashford had fulfilled his role. Rashford, was very, very disappointing against Southampton. That, but I think prior to his performance against Southampton, prior to his penalty miss against Palace, I think overall Rashford's had a pretty decent start to the season. That, and, Rashford, he hasn't emulated to that level yet. And you saw you could see that in the game against Southampton, that he's not at that level as he should be, Rashford. Obviously, he's developing really, really well, and of course, he's still got a lot of years ahead of him. He's still very, very young, and that is Marcus Rashford and that. But for me, he just didn't latch onto enough of them crosses against Southampton. He had chances, but his chances, were just wasteful with Marcus Rashford's and that. But, when Rashford's on form, he's good at receiving the ball, he's good at getting them runs in behind him and all that. But he's still a long-term solution for Manchester United, is Marcus Rashford. But he was very disappointing against Southampton. So, luckily, Martial's injury is not too severe, which I'm very, very delighted about. It got confirmed at the start of the season anyway that Martial is being given that number 9 shirt, so he's playing more centrally this season, because I think he looks he looks more effective in that central position, as that got proven, throughout pre-season. And I think before Martial sustained this thigh injury, I think he's had a good start to the season, scored quite a few goals. I think he has also, provided them a couple of assists in that. He primarily plays out wide as Martial, but we're obviously playing him more centrally. But the duo Martial and Rashford, they were both inconsistent in the last couple of months of last season. But I still said at that point, they are the long-term solutions for Manchester United. And Martial, has been subjected to quite a lot of transfer speculation in the past, and that it's no longer happening now because he's staying at the club. But don't forget, under the Jose Mourinho era, there was talks of Martial leaving the club. Obviously, I think it was early on this summer there was rumours going on saying that Solskjaer could get rid of Anthony Martial and that. But I'd have been disappointed if he'd have left, because he's a very, very imperative player. And Martial scored 50 goals for the club. Don't forget, he scored his 50th goal against Wolves. I think this is now Martial's. He's been at the club 4 years. I think this is now his 5th season as a Manchester United player. Don't forget, he got a 5-year deal back in the January transfer window as well, did Anthony Martial. Which was very, very good business in the club. And, they're both on substantial wages, are Martial and Rashford. Martial's 23, Rashford's 21. Rashford's on around 200 grand a week, potentially rising up to 300 grand a week on bonuses. And Martial's on around, 200 odd grand a week. But we have got players anywhere on big contracts and that. But yeah, Martial's injury is not too severe, which is very, very good news indeed. Which is very, very good news indeed. But I do think, we look a bit better in the attacking third in the pitch, because we have now got that pace up front, and that's obviously, something we lacked last season was that pace. But in that attacking third of the pitch now, you've got Daniel James with electrifying pace. You've also got, Rashford with good pace. You've got Martial and that with good pace and that. So we do look slightly better in the attacking third of the pitch. But I still believe someone needs to come in who can create more chances. We need more leadership, I think, in the team, because that's something else, we're lacking. I think we need someone to come in, of course, who can take set pieces and that better. So these are still deficiencies in the squad that does need to be addressed in that. And like I said, with Jesse Lingard, I was very, very glad, that he didn't start, from the start against Southampton. That obviously got dropped. He came on in the game, but he didn't start from the start. Lingard, due to his inconsistency, basically. Lingard also was inconsistent in the last couple of months of last season. But I still said, he's probably, still the long-term solution for Manchester United. Is Lingard and that. So improvements are definitely needed in his game. Because there's at the moment the vast majority of the players so far this season have underperformed and that, the performances are basically, quite frankly, not good enough and that, and we need to see better performances. We need to score more goals. We are creating chances, but we're just not being clinical enough, and this seems to be an issue, to be quite honest. We need to stop conceding daft goals, which we've done so far this season. But you can see obviously, the deficiencies in the squad, and we have got quite a few young upcoming players. Don't forget, and I think the young players were a fruition throughout pre-season. I do believe they'll become a fruition this season. That Mason Greenwood obviously is going to get given more opportunities this season, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer confirmed anywhere at the start of this season. But Mason Greenwood has not yet started the game from the start. He's made 4 substitute appearances, and I think he needs to start from the start against Leicester after the international break. Does Mason Greenwood? He's only 17 years of age, and I think he can replicate what he did for the reserves last season. In the first team and that. So he's a big part of the squad this season. With Chon, I don't think he's yet played this season. So I do believe Chon should get given his opportunities. Angel Gomez, I'm surprised he didn't participate against Southampton because I thought he was going to be a big part of the squad this season as well. So we have got quite a few young upcoming players. Don't forget. Obviously Fossil Mensah is a young upcoming player, but he's a long-term absence. He's out with injury. Don't forget. I think he's a long-term absence anywhere. Don't forget Eric Bailly, of course. He's out with injury until Christmas time. He's got a serious knee injury and that. So we have got quite a few injuries in the team. But talking about that midfield and that, the one good thing is I'm really glad now that Paul Pogba is remaining at the football club for this season anyway. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer confirmed anywhere that Paul Pogba will be staying at Manchester United this season. Paul Pogba has confirmed he will reject any offer from Manchester United, to renew his contract and that, and he will probably wait until next summer, to make his move to Real Madrid. So obviously recently Paul Pogba's brother, Matteo Pogba, he fueled more transfer speculation. I think it was the other week, and he said that Paul Pogba could end up making the move to Real Madrid. Still, he could end up signing for Real Madrid, because I think his brother knows how good Paul Pogba would represent Real Madrid in that. But Paul Pogba's plans for the future is still a move to Real Madrid. But I'm glad he's remaining at the football club for this season, Paul Pogba. I did say for the majority of this summer anyway, the stumbling block has seemed to be, with a substantial amount we've put on Paul Pogba and that, and this has been the stumbling block of him, leaving Manchester United basically, because we quoted that wanted around £180 million. We was demanding just over double than what we initially paid for him from Juventus back in 2016 and that, and obviously Real Madrid were not willing to pay up to £180 million. So obviously Zinedine Zidane identified Paul Pogba as his number one target and that. Real Madrid spent a substantial amount throughout the course of this summer. They spent £300 million on 5 players. They generated some of that money back, because they have sold quite a few players. I think they've generated around £100 million back with that money and that. Don't forget Christian Eriksen, was on Real Madrid's agenda. He was on Real Madrid's agenda, but actually, Real Madrid's preference, was Paul Pogba over Christian Eriksen and that. But I still believe Paul Pogba, will make his move to Real Madrid next summer. But he's remaining now at Manchester United for this season, which is very good news in that. But early on this summer, Paul Pogba confirmed anyway, that he was seeking for a new challenge. He publicly admitted, that he wanted to leave Manchester United and that. But at one point, he was looking like he was going, but he's staying at Manchester United for this season. And obviously, we do know Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, he's been in the process all summer, basically, of trying to get Paul Pogba's move to Real Madrid completed. And that, don't forget, Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, he came out with the start of pre-season. He said that his client is in the process of leaving the football club. But Paul Pogba has still got 2 years left on his contract on Manchester United, with an option to extend it by a further year. Paul Pogba's on around, 290 grand a week. So he's not only our most expensive sign, he's also one of the highest paid players at the football club. He's also one of the highest paid players at the football club. He's also a World Cup winner as well as Paul Pogba. I know throughout the course of the summer, there has been talks saying that he could possibly, make a return back to Turin and that, because he did have 4 good years in Turin. He hasn't mainly replicated this at Manchester United and that. But I think obviously Paul Pogba not too long ago, was subjected to online racial abuse, following his penalty miss against Wolves and that. So he got a lot of criticism for that, Paul Pogba, but I'll credit Paul Pogba in that aspect. I think he handled the situation quite well. But it hasn't only been this summer anyway that Paul Pogba's been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Obviously, reflecting back last summer, he was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. There was a lot of talks about him leaving last summer due to his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, and of course, Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho left the football club and that. But yeah. Like I said, he's staying at Manchester United for this season, which is very good news anyway. And it was initially Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans anyway, to build a side around Paul Pogba. But I do believe, the players we was in for throughout the course of the summer, I probably do believe that we will reignite our interest in them in January. I think we'll probably definitely go back in for Bruno Fernandes in January. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes was one of our main priority targets, throughout the course of the summer and that. And I think it would have been the right solution. I would have been excited about the prospects of Bruno Fernandes playing alongside Pogba in our midfield, because I do believe, they would have complemented each other, fantastically well and that. But it's a shame we didn't get Bruno Fernandes. But I think we'll reignite our interest in some of the players we was in for, throughout the course of the summer, who we didn't manage to get in that. But, there was talks that Paul Pogba was limping after the game against Southampton at the weekend and that, so hopefully he hasn't sustained a serious injury in that, because now we've convinced him to remain at the football club. But I say we've got to avoid him, getting any injury, because obviously we haven't really got a backup to Paul Pogba in that. Because we do know when Paul Pogba's at his best, he brings that creativeness in that midfield. He's good at feeding the attackers. He's like 2 players in one when he's at his best. And we have seen him at his best as a Manchester United player in that. Paul Pogba, I think you mainly see the best of him, of course, when he is freed up and that. But still 26 years of age is Pogba. Still got quite a lot of development minimum in that. But yeah, we know the difference he does make in that midfield, Paul Pogba, but we definitely know seeing him at his best in that, but we haven't really got a backup to him in that. And we've got the likes of McTominay. To be fair to McTominay, I think he's had a good start to this season, was good throughout pre-season, started this season really, really well. So far, Solskjaer's been mainly playing Paul Pogba alongside McTominay in our midfield and that. I'm still very, very sceptical about McTominay. I don't know if he's got all the attributes to succeed at Manchester United. I don't know, if he's the long-term solution for the club and that, but he's still developing, don't forget, and he can play between the lines and that really, really well. And the thoughts I've got about McTominay, I've got the same thoughts about Fred and Pereira. We have seen glimpses of how good, they can be in that. My overarching view on Fred is, he was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. He hasn't really replicated this at Manchester United much. Fred did well towards the back end of last season. I think in the games he participated throughout pre-season, I thought he did quite well in that. I don't think he's played yet so far this season, Fred. Solskjaer did say he expects big things from Fred this season. But like I said, he's been mainly inconsistent for Manchester United. But to be fair, Fred never really got the opportunity under Jose Mourinho. And with Andres Pereira, I still don't know if he's the long-term solution for Man United. I thought he had a poor game at the weekend against Southampton because obviously, he had been given the chance. And so I have got a lot of element of concerns about our midfield. And it definitely, needs to be addressed in the January transfer window and that. But, like I did say, prior to this summer transfer window, we haven't been competitive enough, in the recent windows and that, we didn't get anyone in January. Obviously we didn't, reflecting back last summer, we didn't get our number one targets and that. And obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, throughout the course of the summer anyway, I'd spoken about our recruitment policy. Our recruitment policy, of course, isn't very, very good. But, to be quite fair, £148 million we spent this summer under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We was quite sensible with our recruitment this summer. £148 million on free players. He's not, over, he's not, being silly with money in that because, we're known for spending nearly £100 million on one player and that. I do believe we overpaid for Harry Maguire. I think £80 million is too much. I did say in this market this day and age, 60 or £70 million would have been reasonable and that. I said over that mark though, we are paying too much for him. But I did say in these markets at this day and age, you've got to overpay for players and that. And like I said, we can afford to give players big contracts. We can afford to overpay for players because we're a massive club, of course. We're one of the richest clubs in the world and, we have got massive revenues and that. Harry Maguire is obviously our second most expensive signing behind Paul Pogba. He's actually now the second most expensive signing in the Premier League. He's also the most expensive defender in the world, is Harry Maguire. But I still believe, he is going to succeed at Manchester United and that. But, you've got the list of our most expensive signings. Obviously, the most expensive is Paul Pogba. Then the second is Harry Maguire. I think the third is Wan-Bissaka, is it? The third is Wan-Bissaka. I think the fourth is Fred because we paid just under £50 million for Fred last summer. Obviously, Lukaku is obviously one of our most expensive signs and that. We paid £75 million for Lukaku, but there was £15 million add-ons included, which should potentially rise it to £90 million. But I think in that aspect, it was good business for Man United, it wasn't good business overpaying for him, but I thought, it was good to see us get rid of him and generate, a substantial amount for his departure. And also, it was good to see us recoup the money that we did pay for Lukaku a couple of years ago from Everton and that. Also, Di Maria is one of our most expensive signs as well. We paid just under £60 million for him, back under the Louis van Gaal and Moreira as well. So we have got a history of spending a big on players. And like I did say to you, in the last 6 years or so, a hell of a lot of money has been spent into the football club. £148 million has been spent this summer under Solskjaer. Obviously, just under £400 million, was spent under Jose Mourinho. He recommended 11 players to the football club, and that obviously there's still 10 of those players here now that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's inheriting. But I already given you the reasons why it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho, because obviously Jose Mourinho had bad disputes with the board. Obviously, he had bad disputes over the top players. Reflecting back last summer, the board weren't back in the signings that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend into the football club. There was no sort of winning philosophy under Mourinho. It was part of the bus football. There was no sort of transfer strategy in Jose Mourinho, and you can quite say we appointed Mourinho in too late, but he did win the Europa League and League Cup in his first season with Man United. Then we spent over £200 million under Louis van Gaal, don't forget. Obviously the vast majority of players who Louis van Gaal brought in have obviously now left the club and that, but there's still some of them players here now that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's inheriting. Didn't work out under Van Gaal because obviously he didn't have the right sort of philosophy in that. But quite a lot of money was spent under him, and under David Moyes, just under £67 million was spent under him in that. So we spent just under £1 billion in the last 6 years. So I think it's around £968 million we spent, including what we spent this summer under Solskjaer and that. If you want to take into account what we spent under Ferguson, obviously it's way over £1 billion. That Manchester United, of course, have spent. So it just proves, always spending big on players and getting them Galactico players, doesn't always guarantee you success in that. I mean, it's been proven with Manchester United, of course, in the last 6 years or so and that. But I just want this team now, this day and age, to replicate, what the team did, under Alex Ferguson. And don't forget, there's still a couple of players here, from the Alex Ferguson era and that. Obviously, Jones is still here. Obviously, Ashley Young, of course, is still here. Jones has been here 8 years. Young's been here 8 years. Young's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player and that. De Gea, of course, is still here. De Gea's been here 8 years. He's now into his 9th season now as well, don't forget. But like I said, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he has got a bit of experience as a manager, but not really to the highest level. And again, I did say, that's an element of concern for me. He did well last season, when he was the interim manager in his first 3 months for Man United. He exceeded expectation levels. The results were good, the performances were good, and he was getting the best out of these group of players and that. But it just since he got the job permanently, back in March, it's just all gone wrong. It just seemed to have all gone wrong, since then and that. Solskjaer did win a couple of Norwegian titles with and that, that was basically, a good achievement and that. But I just don't know if he's got all the attributes, to succeed as at management, and that. I just don't know if he can succeed at Manchester United and that. But I'm hopeful that he does not get the sack. But we need to see better performances, and of course, we need to start winning games if we do want to get that top 4 and that. Because we need to definitely qualify for the Champions League. Don't forget, we're in the Europa League this season as well. We're in the Europa League this season. But I did say to you guys, didn't I? It was going to be very, very hard for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window. Of course, it was going to be, it was always going to be, very, very hard for us to do that. But like I said, I got Leicester coming up after the international break, Old Trafford, that's obviously, a game that we should win in that. And but like I said, Solskjaer's not exceeding expectation levels, and I think, if we don't get top 4 this season, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, will be under a series threat and that, and it will be under series threat. But like I said, that's really it, really. There's nothing much more to update you on. But like I said, Darmain has officially left Manchester United, as I did want to update you on. He has joined Parma, so he has made that return back to Italy. We've let him go for around £3.6 million, signed a 4-year deal with Parma. I think in the aspect he's good business for Man United getting rid of him. It's no surprise that he's leaving, like I said at the start of the video, but I'm just surprised, what we've let him go for, basically. We've let him go for next to nothing, and we've lost out on around, £9.1 million. If we'd have got rid of him a couple of years ago, probably would have recouped the money that we did pay for him from Torino, back in 2015 and that. But yeah, Darmain has officially left the football club now, which has been confirmed today. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.